After white plays pawn to a4 and black responds with pawn to c6, we officially enter the Caro-Kann defense. But the real question is, why does black choose pawn to c6 instead of challenging the center immediately? The idea is actually very straightforward. Black is preparing to push pawn to d5 on the next move. If white decides to capture on d5, black can recapture using the pawn from c6, placing a strong pawn directly in the center. This creates a very solid pawn structure and gives black reliable central control. Another important benefit of playing pawn to c6 is that it clears the diagonal for the queen, making it much easier for her to develop later without being blocked by pawns. In most games, white continues with pawn to d4, and black responds with pawn to d5. This position marks one of the most critical crossroads of the entire Caro-Kann defense. From here, white must choose how to handle the tension in the center. The first variation we'll examine is the advance variation, where white pushes pawn to e5. This is the most popular and aggressive approach white uses against the Caro-Kann. Black usually answers this advance with pawn to c5, entering the Botvinnik-Karls defense. With this move, black deliberately offers the pawn on c5 as a gambit. White's most ambitious plan is to accept this pawn. However, if white does capture, the pawn structure often becomes fractured and difficult to maintain. White's central pawns are weakened while black gains strong counterplay, rapid piece activity, and increasing pressure on the center. Before diving into the lines where white accepts the gambit, let's first examine the most common move by far in this position, pawn to c3. This move does not boldly grab the gambit pawn. Instead, it focuses on strengthening the center and reinforcing the pawn chain. But if black chooses to capture here. From this position, black wins a huge number of games by targeting white's biggest structural flaw, the pawn on d4. Black immediately increases the pressure with knight to c6, directly attacking the pawn on d4 and forcing white to respond. The most common defense is knight to f3, adding another defender to the center. Now black captures on d4, and after white recaptures on d4, we reach a very important middle game position, but white is left with a long-term weakness. The pawn on d4 is extremely hard to protect. No other pawn can support it. The e-pawn has advanced too far, and the c-pawn has already been exchanged. This means the pawn on d4 is permanently isolated. From here, black's plan is simple and very effective. Keep attacking the pawn on d4 until it eventually falls. The next key move is bishop to g4, increasing the pressure by pinning the knight on f3, one of the pawn's main defenders. If white carelessly plays pawn to h3, black already gains the advantage. Black can respond with bishop takes f3, and if white recaptures with queen takes f3, black follows up with knight takes d4, winning the pawn cleanly. If white chooses to recapture with pawn takes f3, the pawn on d4 stays defended for the moment. However, white's kingside pawn structure is permanently ruined. This creates a lasting positional weakness that black can exploit all the way into the endgame. Either way, playing pawn to h3 is a serious concession for white. Because of this, most players prefer the more practical move bishop to e2, breaking the pin and keeping the position flexible. Black then responds calmly with pawn to e6. This move opens the diagonal for the dark squared bishop, but more importantly, it prepares a strong knight reroute. Knight to a7, followed by knight to f5. Once the knight lands on f5, it becomes another powerful attacker targeting the pawn on d4. And once again, if white carelessly plays pawn to h3, the move is still poisonous. Black can exchange on f3 and continue piling pressure until white's position collapses. Now let's switch to a different winning plan, starting with queen to b6. Here, the value of playing pawn to c6 early becomes very clear. That single move opened this diagonal, allowing the queen to become active and immediately pressure white's center. In this position, white is simply going to lose a pawn. The pawn on d4 is hanging, and white has very few ways to defend it. If white tries to protect it with a bishop, the pawn on b2 is left unguarded, and black can capture it immediately. If white instead plays knight to d2, the position remains playable, but after bishop to b4, black keeps a clear and comfortable edge. Black is up a pawn, and white has no real compensation. This once again shows how a careless move like pawn to h3 can quickly turn into a long-term weakness. Because of this, most players choose the safer option and castle kingside. After white castles, black smoothly switches to the second main plan. Black plays knight from g8 to e7, followed by knight to f5, once again increasing pressure on the pawn on d4. White is now desperate to defend and usually responds with bishop to e3. Here, black must be precise. Capturing on e3 looks tempting, but it actually helps white. After the recapture, white's pawn on d4 becomes fully protected, and black has solved white's main problem for them. Instead, black should keep the strong knight on f5 and continue developing smoothly with bishop to e7. If white now plays pawn to h3, the same familiar pattern appears again. After kingside castling and a move like rook to c1, black gains access to a very important pawn break, pawn to f6. After the natural exchanges, black brings yet another piece into the attack against the pawn on d4. In many cases, black can even return to queen to b6, hitting the pawn on b2 and increasing pressure across the entire position. Black has excellent winning chances here. Against the very passive pawn to c3 setup, black consistently gets active, aggressive positions with many opportunities to convert the advantage quickly. That wraps up the weak c3 variation. Now let's move on to white's best practical try, accepting the gambit by capturing on c5. If white accepts the gambit with pawn takes c5, the pawn structure becomes split and fragile. Black immediately begins counterplay with pawn to e6, reaching a structure that closely resembles the French defense. Now the pawn on c5 is under attack, and white has two main choices: pawn to a3, which we will cover later, or bishop to e3. The bishop to e3 line is the only variation where white can realistically hope to keep the extra pawn. Even so, black receives so much activity and compensation that the material advantage is barely felt. Black continues with knight to d7, once again attacking the pawn on c5 while also putting pressure on the pawn on a5. This creates a tactical fork. White often responds with the clever move bishop to b5, pinning the knight and temporarily stopping black from capturing on c5. Black continues with knight to e7. At first, placing both knights on the back rank may look clumsy and even seem to block the bishops. In reality, this setup is completely solid, and white has no effective way to exploit it. White almost always follows up with pawn to c3. From here, black has two logical options. The simpler approach is knight to c6, leading to a balanced position where black will soon recover the gambit pawn. If black wants a sharper and more dynamic game, pawn to a6 is the more ambitious choice. This move immediately challenges the bishop on b5. If white retreats the bishop to a4, black plays knight to c6. After a move like knight to f3, black captures on c5, regains the pawn, completes development smoothly, and reaches a very comfortable position with strong winning chances. If white instead chooses bishop takes d7, black responds with bishop takes d7. After knight to f3, black jumps in with knight to f5, attacking the bishop. If the bishop retreats to d4, black does not rush to win the pawn. Instead, black's compensation becomes overwhelming. Black exchanges on d4 and follows up with pawn to b6. White has little choice but to capture, after which black recaptures with queen takes b6. The queen now targets the pawn on b2, creating immediate and lasting pressure. If white tries a weakening move like pawn to b3, black already holds a large advantage. Black continues with bishop to b5, a very typical idea borrowed from the French defense, often rerouted through bishop to d7 first. This pins white's knight and makes kingside castling extremely difficult. In this position, the engine's top recommendation is the unusual king to d2. When normal castling is no longer possible, white is forced to castle by hand, clear evidence that black is already very comfortable. White's best practical defense is queen to b3, stepping into the line and covering key squares. Against this, black should calmly play rook to b8, creating a strong battery on the b-file and increasing pressure on white's pawn structure. In most lines, black either wins back the pawn or maintains more than enough compensation. Black has excellent winning chances here.